everybody. I shouldn't have told you that I was at the hair salon because I don't think I look dramatically different. I just got, I do have a blowout. I did go to Avengers Tower and get a blowout. Thanks for gifting a membership, 80s model. But yeah, I just got like a refresh. So it's very nice to see everybody. Thank you for your patience. I hope that I feel bad. I hope I lived up to the hair hype. So yeah, it's so nice to see everybody. We're on track for the 3 streams this week. Although I'll be out substantially tomorrow as well because I'm seeing Killers of the Flower Moon tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about it. I'll tell you I'll review it on Friday. I think the other stream will be either tomorrow or Friday. Thanks for gifting a membership, Big League Chew. Thanks, Cowboy Kush. That's very sweet of you. But I also want to make sure I get my Loki breakdown up in time for tomorrow evening. So there's lots going on, so it's nice to see everyone. Yeah, I just got a hair refresh, Gotta maintain the do. And I had not been able to go in for a few weeks, and so I finally was able to run in today. So we have some pretty good stories to talk about. Thank you everybody for joining me for a later stream. So the thing is that I know some people were like, what about the DC stuff from the other day? Because yesterday I was out all day, so I couldn't discuss that Variety article. I will say that I thought that it was a little clickbaity, the Variety article. Thanks, Riley James. Thanks, Writer Boy. I felt that, Jason Momoa dressing like Johnny Depp was Amber Heard's perception. It wasn't necessarily the truth. Not to invalidate how Amber Heard might have been feeling, but I think that's really like more of an Amber Heard thing than like a Jason Momoa thing, to be honest with you. But I think the most thing that I felt nicest about with the latest news stories, like James Gunn not bringing back really any of the Snyder actors except for who will Jason Momoa be playing? Lobo. For the trades finally admitting that Universal is probably going to buy Warner Brothers next year. To streaming services being pointed out is horrible for Hollywood's business today. I feel really good because these are things I've been telling you about for months, if not in some cases over a year. So I feel really good that it not only, validates my coverage, okay, and that I know what I'm talking about, but I feel really good that when you guys see these headlines, because you trust me, you're like, we know. So no one can surprise you guys because I give you the heads up and I'm really, my analysis. And some people will say, my analysis is very aggressive and, I'm really going out there. And hold on. I don't even know what that is. I'll deal with it later. But yeah, so I'm really proud that I could provide that kind of analysis for you and that I was right on all of it. Thanks, Milo. I got my hair did. So I was really happy about it. I mean, especially some of the James Gunn stuff. People are like, oh, Grace, no. And I got it all right. Everything I told you James Gunn was going to do so far, he's doing. And now the trades are saying that. And so I'm really proud of it. And thank you, by the way, for trusting me. That means a lot. So I'm glad I came through. But I could only come through because you guys believe in me. So thank you for that, All right, so let's talk about some news stories. So that's the reason somebody might be like, why aren't we talking about the DC stuff? It's because we've already discussed it. I was correct. I got it all right. It's all right. Even Jason Momoa playing Lobo instead of Aquaman. I mean, it's all right. So, thanks, Owen Tinkler. All right, so we're going to boop it in a second, Leon. So today's, as always, thank you for joining me for the live stream. Please keep your comments on track on the topic at hand, and please try to wait to hold them until I open up each section to questions, because otherwise I might not answer you, even if it's a super chat. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. But I want to keep for those people who aren't watching live, I want them to be able to enjoy the stream. Oh, I have so much tea for you on Daredevil. I mean, let's spill it before I feel bad about it. The other day I said, I don't want to tell you what the completion. Oh, by the way, that completion rate number was actually out there. 37% for the Rings of Power. That had actually already been leaked. But I don't want, the only thing that I always worry about getting in trouble is that I don't want my sources to get in trouble. So I always am nervous about, I don't want my sources to get in trouble. So sometimes if the T is too on target, someone can be like, oh my goodness, only a couple of people know about that. So we kind of know who maybe it is. So I'm always really careful about that. But yeah, I got some great Daredevil context stuff for you. Just kind of putting it in perspective. So we're going to have a good time with that. Tanya, I got a little trim on the hair. They did a little bit here and there. I will say they shaped it a little bit. All right. So, I was making fun of Sylvie's hair in the breakdown for, Wednesday, and mine looks a little like that actually now that I look at it in the thing. So sorry, Sylvie. We've all been there. All right. So anyway, try to keep, look at me. Don't do what I do. Try and stay on topic. But then, of course, at the end of the stream, there's a Q&A where you can ask me anything you want. That's where you can go to town. That's where you can shoot your shot. We'll have a great time. And then I'll do shout-outs at the end before I'm trying to get my sleep schedule back on track. I feel like I'm putting everything back on track. I'm feeling good about this. This is good. This is very good. All right. But this week's going to be a little crazy. But then after this week, next week's going to be beautiful. Next week we'll be fully on track next week. Grace will be back to Grace. All right. Okay. Story number 1. Boop. Miguel, you're sneaking the stream at work. I'm glad you got a gifted membership so you can join in. All right, everybody, this is going to be good. So Hollywood Reporter had a real nice story today, and they filled in a lot of the blanks, and I can fill in some more for you. But one of the nicest things about their story was this nice little nifty graphic that we got. This was very nice. Everybody loves a good graphic. I have to say kudos to the Hollywood Reporter graphic design team who really put together something nice here. So they're saying, is the Marvel TV machine slowing down? Now, where did these minutes come from, right? Marvel's like, where did you even get that information? Oh, this is from Nielsen. All right, so this, none of these have had a second season, though. So there's no cheating in that regard. So is the Marvel machine slowing down? And you can see that Loki, WandaVision, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and they have the number of episodes here. But, remember WandaVisions were shorter. But you can see that the original show, the original trio of shows, still far outshine everything else. However, I would like to point out, as we've been discussing, that those debuted during the pandemic, where everybody was stuck at home and had nothing else to do, and they couldn't go out because they were afraid for their lives. So that was a real good way to debut a show, quite frankly. So I think there's a little bit of that going for them as well. However, I think one of the biggest takeaways, which is why you might have noticed that She-Hulk was trending today, at least for you, it might not have been trending worldwide or nationwide, but it was trending for you. I saw it certainly trending for me, is that She-Hulk managed to be 4th place. And I gotta tell you, I think that's because She-Hulk, while that show had huge problems, I think that Tatiana Maslany was so well cast as She-Hulk. And I think that sometimes She-Hulk looked so good, right? Like sometimes she looked awful and you were like, my God, I can't believe you released this into the wild. But other times you were like, she looks damn good. She looks just like She-Hulk. And that was really awesome. And Daredevil was on it too. You're right, Danny. Daredevil was on it too. So I'm pretty glad that She-Hulk is so high up. That makes me feel really nice. What's the asterisk mean? Estimated totals. What the? Why aren't they all estimated? Who knows? All right. But yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I'm happy for She-Hulk because I'd like that character to go on. I mean, I think Jessica Gao did her best to really hurt the character with crappy writing and character development. But I feel this is good. I like Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk. I think she's great. So yeah, and also look at Moon Knight. We all like Moon Knight. We all like Moon Knight, don't we? I love Moon Knight, okay? So Moon Knight, 5th, Hawkeye, right? Although that's not great for Kate Bishop. Look, but Secret Invasion wasn't last, which to me is very interesting. I think because, maybe because everybody had such high hopes for it. What If is pretty low, but what's interesting to me is that Ms. Marvel is so bad. But I'll tell you something else. I'm going to tell you a little tea right now. I don't even know if I should, but I'll do it anyway, okay? I heard the pre-sales for Ms. Marvel the other day were so bad that they really scared Marvel. They were as bad as the pre-sales for a recent, let's just say a recent non-Marvel superhero movie. That's all I want to say, because it'll be too tantalizing if I say what it actually was. I don't want it to be too big. So I'm just telling you, they're the Marvels. That's what I'm saying. Didn't I say the Marvels? What did I say? But, so the pre-sales are that bad. And I heard that Marvel was kind of freaking out about it. Now, who knows? Oh, I said Ms. Marvel? I'm sorry. But Ms. Marvel is in the Marvels, which is why I'm saying this. So I had a source tell me that the pre-sales for the Marvels were like, they scared Marvel. They scared the MCU. So I think, and I think when you see the numbers for Ms. Marvel in comparison, I think that that kind of makes sense, interestingly enough. It's going to be really interesting. I was looking at the pre-sales. They were pretty bad. There are a lot of tickets available to most part. And I would also say, though, that I did like that there were so many showtimes available. I was like, at least it's a short movie, and they could really book it a lot of times on each screen. But at the same time, only like one showing a day, like the main show, was doing really well. But, people weren't really, looking to see. A lot of times recently people show the AMC Lincoln Square IMAX screen. They're like, look at these ticket sales. Don't go by the IMAX Lincoln Square pre-sales. The IMAX in Lincoln Square is the most popular screen, I would say, in the whole world, and it always will sell. Like, for instance, people are like, look at Killers of the Flower Moon. Look how well it's doing on the IMAX at Lincoln Square. Of course it is. It's a Leonardo DiCaprio Scorsese 3.5-hour movie that was made for the IMAX at Lincoln Square. I can tell you, what I do? I check New Jersey screens. I check Pittsburgh screens, where I have some family members. I check those theaters. Check Suburbia. Check Middle America. Then you want to see how the tickets are selling. And I got to tell you, it's not good. That's how I know if a movie's hot or not. What's going on in Middle America or New Jersey, which is like Middle America adjacent. So anyway, that's kind of like how I do it. New York is New York. Kate, upstate New York, stuff like that. You got to check those theaters. Don't check New York City. Don't check Los Angeles. Don't check Atlanta. Atlanta's a big movie-going place. Even Orlando, Disney Springs, Disney World. That AMC, very popular. Don't check a place where people like to go to the movies. You got to check the place where people go like as little as possible. That's what you got to check. All right, so that's some tea. I'm starting off piping hot. Okay. All right, let's talk. We got more to go. There's more. This is incredible. That's funny, Eris. Yes, check Utah. Are people in Utah going? All right, so Daredevil Born Again was supposed to be 18 episodes. And as it was revealed today, Daredevil wasn't even going to suit up until episode 4. All right, I got some more tea for you. I'll tell you a little bit more about Daredevil. All right, so as I told you before, they were very procedural with the show. Okay? They wanted each episode to kind of stand on its own. And every episode, even though there was like a season-long storyline to some degree, each episode kind of could live on its own. So maybe down the line, or simultaneously, they could stick it on ABC. So that's kind of how it was put together. And then Kingpin and Daredevil actually had separate storylines that weren't going to tie together until the very end. Also, I don't know if you saw some scooper or somebody today tweeted out that Foggy and Karen got shot in the first episode. I heard that was true. That person deleted it, but I heard that Foggy and Karen would be killed off. So it's not even like they weren't around. Like they were dead. So they weren't going to come back. Which to me is like, what? And that's what I heard, okay? And I think some other scoopers are talking about it a little bit. And I heard that, that was a Marvel decision, so I think that's a horrible idea. I think that this is so bad. So we'll see, okay? I also heard from some people who were like, I heard from some sources that even people who were on set were like, this show's really boring. Okay, so like people who were watching it be filmed were like, this is boring. I also heard that Muse was a character. Oh yeah. And they were also going with a dirty policeman storyline. There were like murderous cops. That was the thing. Like there were some bad cops who were like trying to be the Punisher basically, and they were killing people. They were like, oh, we'll be judge, jury, and executioner. Look at our Punisher tattoos. And I'd be like, in today's political landscape, I wouldn't do that storyline. I would like totally, like, just like I'm worried about the rumors that I've heard about James Gunn's Superman Legacy Middle East storyline, which now are like, are you crazy? I mean, I thought that was a bad idea even before. But I feel like, you know, with the conversation about police, you know, and like, I think that's a very tense conversation. And I think, you know, like, I wouldn't do that, you know? And of course, there are obviously instances of, you know, corrupt individuals for sure. But like, why does Daredevil need to get involved in that? Right? Like Daredevil's like, I got enough problems. I don't need to get involved in this storyline. So, but anyway, apparently Kevin Feige looked at some of the notes. I mean, looked at some of the footage and he was like, whew, I don't want to get involved in this. And thank God. Some of you were like, Grace, why is this a bad thing? Isn't it great that Kevin Feige pulled the plug? What did he do? He fired all the writers and the directors and he's starting from scratch. He might save some of the footage, but apparently he's starting from scratch. And yes, it is a good thing. But the problem is, how did it get to this point? Why is that why are we here? Right? I mean, it used to be that Kevin Feige was like a movie god. You were like, why isn't everyone Kevin Feige? Everyone was searching for their Kevin Feige. And I think now you're like, well, Kevin Feige is the same as everyone else. You know, like he had a really good run. So, I mean, I think that's the issue. You know, like he suddenly becomes fallible, right? Like before it was like, in Feige we trust. But now you're like, well, even he can make mistakes. And so I think that's what I think is not, I think that hurts him. And I think it also makes it scary because everybody always thought Marvel was always going to be in a good place because Feige was there. Same with Bob Iger. You would like, remember when Bob Iger was brought back to Disney and everyone was like, oh, he'll fix it. And now we're all like, nobody, you know, who knows? You know, Iger's mortal, Feige's mortal. What the hell, man? You know? It's like Mobius says, none of our gods are real, man. All right, so that's what the shape of the show is. And they also talked about, so some people, I saw some people in the comments saying, why don't they just do a season 4 of Daredevil? Why don't they just do a season 4? Okay? The problem is that as some of the people involved with the previous seasons of Daredevil have pointed out, if they were to make a traditional season 4, Disney would have to honor the contract residuals for those shows. So they don't want to do that. They want a totally different show so they don't have to honor any of the payment plans and participation of the people who are working on the original shows. So that's why they're not doing it. That's why. They don't want to pay any of those creatives. So that's why there's a break. And that's just the way it's going to be, which is very interesting, you know? And so like it's just never going to change. I mean, and I got to tell you from a business perspective, I would do the same thing. You know, I'd be like, I don't want to pay those people. I wasn't involved in that. I don't want to have to deal with them. I want to just start from scratch. And that decision I agree with, quite frankly. It is ruthless. It sucks for the people who made Daredevil seasons 1 through 3, but they can feel good that they made a great show. But I don't want to pay them and I don't want to deal with them if I were Disney Marvel. I agree with that decision. So the head writers who worked on this Daredevil show, they've been fired, but they will retain an executive producer credit. So that's nice. So their agents did a good job for them in that regard. Their agents still get them in, some participation. They're not totally embarrassed. And they have some, you know, they get to go to the premiere and they get to be like, ooh, yay, we're not totally fired. So that's nice for them. Okay, that's what having an agent is good for. The agent's like, don't throw them out. Yeah, it's a vanity credit, Dr. Long Monkey. So they're not totally humiliated. So that's nice, right? All right, so let's talk about MCU TV, which was very much discussed here. This was really kind of like what was going on. All right? So the Hollywood Reporter article detailed some of the bigger problems with Marvel television and that they're trying to fix. So apparently Marvel TV has film executives doing television, and it's different things. Doing a movie is different than producing a movie is different than producing television. But apparently on Secret Invasion, everybody was fighting and nobody got along. So Marvel sent a film exec to set or to where pre-production was being set up and said, you guys got to get along, right? And I'll tell you some tea. I heard that Marvel also had to send an executive to the Eternals set because of some problems there. And so this is not a new thing. It's not like this is just a problem with TV. And I think you can see how Eternals turned out. And you can see, oh yeah, I don't think these film executives are fixing it when they go down to set. They might get everybody to maybe start talking again, but I mean, the product is not fixed. So I think that's problematic, okay? Then also, I think that then Marvel said they're apparently going to hire TV executives, which is great. So Marvel's going to hire TV executives, and I think they feel that this is a trend in Hollywood overall, that they're going back to what worked. Hollywood is like, whoa, we let the tech industry lead us off the edge of a cliff. We knew what we were doing. We were making tons of money. Why did we do this? So you're going to see a lot of stuff going back to the way things were, including the way they make things, okay? Elliot, I said enough about the Eternals. I'm not telling you any more Eternals tea. I'm going to get in trouble, okay? Because that story never came out, and I don't want to get in trouble, okay? By the way, one of the interesting things about the coverage today, which I thought was really great, is they said this all was caused by the skyrocketing of Netflix's stock, which Wall Street was treating as a tech company. And they gave them a quadruple the evaluation because of that. They stopped treating Netflix like an entertainment stock, and they treated it like a tech stock. And that created a huge disparity between the value of Netflix and movie studios. And Disney said, we want a piece of that. But then Wall Street said, oops, and started valuing Netflix like an entertainment company again, instead of valuing Disney and the like as a tech company suddenly. So that to me is fascinating. And I think it also shows that tech companies are overvalued. And that was probably a fault too. That was a mistake to do that. All right, so going back to what works, I think you're going to see a lot of that, where Hollywood's like, we're going back to what works. If you have time today, The Hollywood Reporter has a tremendous article about the 5 things that need to be fixed in Hollywood after the strikes are over. And a lot of it is stuff that we've been talking about, but it's really well encapsulated in that article. So I think it's a great read, and if you head over there and look at it today, I think it's worth your time. And it also, again, reiterates so much of what we've been discussing, and will be, I'm sure, discussing coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. All right, then also, this was incredible. That's right, Michael McKenna. Hollywood Reporter is my favorite of the trades, to be honest with you. It lost a little bit of its luster after they got rid of their former editor-in-chief, Baloney, who went over to Puck News, where he's doing a very nice job. But I think Hollywood Reporter does a real good job. But anyway, so also it was revealed that Marvel has no pilots, they don't film pilots, and they don't use showrunners. So what is that? Let me explain that to you for those of you who might not know. A pilot means that you test the creative team on one episode and you see if it's any good. What Marvel has been doing is they've been giving a creative team an entire season without any test. They're like, go make it. And then they say they're going to fix it in post like they've been doing with their movies. And let me tell you, I think it's become pretty clear that Marvel can't fix anything in post. Can't fix anything. It doesn't work. And they're making things expensive. And single-handedly, it seems that Marvel made the VFX community so upset that Marvel will be responsible for finally pushing them into unionizing. They're like, how angry did we make the VFX artists? They finally unionized. We changed Hollywood history. We made them so upset. You're like, wow, that's pretty bad. You made them that upset. So I think pilots are a great idea, because then if the pilot isn't good, you fire everybody, including sometimes the actors, and you move on and you get somebody else. And you say that pilot was awful, destroy it. And then you don't spend $150 million on a crap show. See? You see? That's, I think, the important thing. They could test those pilots. Right now, they don't test Disney Plus shows. And I think executives and fans, or, right now they do it for other Disney employees, would be like, that's garbage. Like I told you, you know how bad the first cut of Multiverse of Madness was? People who worked for Disney said, you need to scrap this. That's what I heard. I heard people that worked for Disney were like, this is so bad. I heard that that's all I can say. I don't want to out the notes in case they go and check. But yeah, that's what people are saying. They were like, their own employees were like, I think you should put this in the trash. All right. And so that's why they substantially redid it. Now a showrunner, right now they have a head writer. Okay. A showrunner is more somebody who has experience running a show. That's really crucial. I'm glad you guys think I have some good tea today. I haven't had tea in a long time. I'm a little drunk on tea. You can't get drunk on tea, but since we've been striking, we've been like parched. You can't, so I've been so parched. I'm like, we need more tea. And so it's so wonderful to have the tea flowing again that I'm having a great time talking to you guys about it. Also, it's a late night stream. I got my hair did. We're having a fun time. All right, so anyway. But yeah, so a showrunner has experience. They're in charge of the directing, very much so. I think a showrunner is really important, and they haven't done that. Basically, Marvel said, we're not only going to make television shows, but we're going to make them our way. Instead of saying, hey, look, honestly, so many people copy Marvel. If I were Marvel, I would have just copied HBO. I'd be like, how is Game of Thrones made? Let's make it that way. How does Netflix make their shows? By the way, some fascinating, in that Hollywood Reporter article I told you to go read, fascinating coverage of what makes a good streaming show. They said the ideal Netflix streaming show is a gourmet cheeseburger, which is like a fancy cheeseburger. Like, it's better than a cheeseburger, but it's still, don't kid yourself, it's still a cheeseburger. And I was like, that's really smart. I love that so much. I love you too, Nina. I'm glad you guys are having fun too. We're having a good time together. So yeah. So I thought that was like great. And they said they're going to go back to that. They said prestige streaming shows are going to go away because no one's watching them. People want the cheeseburgers. But the reason they like streaming is that it's a gourmet cheeseburger. They want the Shake Shack. If you want White Castle, go watch network television. Like, it's all cheeseburgers, baby. Just the question is, who's serving the cheeseburger? I love that metaphor. Right? You got your Shake Shack, you got your restaurant, you got your Shake Shack, you got your McDonald's, you got your White Castle, right? That to me is fantastic. Oh, some people are trying. I've never had a Five Guys burger. That's why I can't put it into my metaphor. Maybe someday I'll have a Five Guys. All right. Now, I'm glad that Marvel's going to hire TV executives. I'm glad they're going to. I heard that, I didn't hear this. The Hollywood Reporter said that they might go and try and poach some HBO executives. I think that's a great idea. People are trying to poach Marvel executives. Netflix poached everybody. Netflix poached every company under the sun to get their executives. Fine, go back in there. Oh, I love Red Robin, Dory. Now you guys make me want a cheeseburger. Red Robin is delicious. Their French fries, so good. All right, so anyway, yeah. So they should go steal a Netflix or an HBO executive. Be like, yoink, like, want to come fix Marvel? Also, I have to say, they'd have to offer a lot of money. Because if I were the executive, I'd be scared to come over here at this point. I'd be like, yeah, you gonna let me do what I want to do? Right? Like, I'd be nervous about that. Because, Marvel's kind of infamous at this point for being like, we're actually going to do that. Kevin Feige sticks his hand up your ass. I'm in a good mood. And moves you around like a puppet and then just uses your name. So I feel like that's kind of like the situation. So we'll see. That's what Nia DaCosta basically said. I'm surprised she said that I'd be like, wait till your movie comes out and then say it. All right. So I think the bigger problem is that Marvel has lost their central thread. We've been saying this the whole time. What made Marvel successful is that every single thing tied together, okay? Like, one of the Marvel executives in this interview, or they said they got an interview from somewhere else and they quoted him in this article. And the guy said, we want people to watch Marvel TV shows just because they care about the character. And you're like, no, that's never going to work. The reason Marvel works is because every single thing that Marvel puts out is important. And you're not going to be able to follow the story if you don't watch all of it. And people you know why Marvel's in trouble? People either had either one of these or both reactions. One, this doesn't matter, so I don't need to watch it. And two, this is so awful, even if it does matter, I can't watch it. And that's where they ran into trouble. Too much, too bad, and not important. Marvel worked because it all mattered. You had to see all of it if you wanted to watch and follow the show and the storyline. And that's the way it was supposed to work. And the TV shows weren't, and they had the stupid idea that you didn't have to watch the TV shows. But you know why the TV shows did so well at first? Because you felt you needed to watch them. And then when we found out you didn't need to, we felt ripped off. Remember that? They were like, oh, you actually didn't need to watch WandaVision. And we were like, what the F? We thought we needed to. I also think they've fractured the audience like they've done with Star Wars is doing with Filoni. And I think that's really a problem. Everybody needs to be on the same page. You can't say this show is just for a couple of people. At this price point, you can't do that. You can't spend $150 million for something that not that many people are interested in. That's not what comic book content is. If you want to make something for a smaller audience, go work in a different medium. Go be Scorsese. It's so funny. His movie's going to open so low. Did you see Scorsese, by the way, today being like, so what if my movie's 3.5 hours? You guys can watch 7-hour streaming shows. He's so worried. It's going to be so bad. I think it's going to come in under 24, if I had to guess, because he made a political film. I think Scorsese, that's why Daredevil should stay away from that policeman storyline. It's the same thing. I'm telling you right now, we're going to talk about this on Movie Math when Killers of the Flower Moon comes out. But that's going to kill that movie in Middle America. Nobody in Middle America is going to go see Killers of the Flower Moon. Ever. Not going to see it on streaming. They're not going to see it on digital. They're not going to see it on streaming. It's not, people are going to watch it. And so I think there's just nothing can be done about it. All right. Let's go on. Does anyone have any questions about this? We spent 30 minutes. And boy, didn't we have a good time? Didn't we have a really good time? Caden says, so will Bob Iger fire anyone next? I wish he would, but I think he's going to wait a little bit. Resident Justice says, after Secret Wars is a time for... You know what I feel like? I feel like Tyra when she's like, we were all rooting for you. I feel like I'm like that kind of energy today. Resident Justice says, after Secret Wars, it's time for Disney to consider moving away from Feige as the leader of Marvel if he can't fix the issues that Marvel is facing. I don't want to call for anyone to be fired specifically. I'd rather say fire everyone, quite frankly, to be honest with you. That's my speed. But, I think, again, once you prove you're human, I think that it becomes an issue for you. Let's see here. Hey, Carrie, thanks for gifting a membership. Devin says, any insight on how this will affect current projects other than Daredevil? I think that might slow Marvel down, Devin. Let's see how fast Marvel pivots. How long does it take them to hire a TV executive? How long does it take them to hire a showrunner? Those are the questions that we need to see. Kate says, will Daredevil restarting affect Echo in any way? Since Daredevil shows up in that, and I figure it would connect to Born Again. Honestly, Kate, I would trash Echo, and they're not going to do it. I think they're not going to do it, unfortunately, but I would put that in the trash. I think Marvel can't take any more people being upset. Frog Eater says, since the Hollywood Reporter claims the creative overhaul coming for Daredevil Born Again said to make it tonally akin to the original Daredevil show might be a TV mature show now. I don't know. I don't know if it needs to be. Loki is not an MA show, and I think it feels sufficiently adult. As long as Daredevil can slap people in the face. I was like, can Daredevil slap people around? Can he slap people around? Then I'm good. Can he fight in a hallway? Yeah? Okay, great. That would be me on set. I'd be like, as long as Daredevil can slap people around, I feel good about it. I'll watch this. Although, I will say that I'll tell you one of my jokes from my Loki breakdown, since I already filmed it. I said I felt the Loki, little skirmish in episode 2 reminded me of a private school fight. It's like a private school fight. Which means it's not really a fight. I'll watch this. Thoughts on DC execs and Max executives collaborating to make shows where Marvel doesn't have to communicate with Disney Plus executives. Oh, well, actually, what I saw today, I saw saying that, James Gunn doesn't have any creative freedom. Which I thought was hilarious. I was like, what does David Zaslav know about telling a DC story? Why is he mixing in on this? I mean, who says, hey, David Zaslav, hey, Zazzy, what do you think Batman should do? This is stupid. I mean, why don't you go call up people? Although I don't think even anyone at DC knows what Batman should do these days. I don't think anyone knows, which is sad. I call up I call up Paul Levitz and say, hey, Paul Levitz, what do you think Batman would do? Or I call up Peter Tomasi. I'd call up the people who used to make DC great. Resident Justice says, after Secret Wars, it's time for Disney to consider moving away. I already answered that. All right, hold on. That's right. Truth bombs everywhere, my friends. Oh, Platinum Diva, I'm glad you like my top model reference. That's right. Oh, that's right, Carson. Ask Matt Reeves what Batman should do. And you know what? You know what's great? I feel you could also ask Robert Pattinson what Batman would do, and he would know. I love that Robert Pattinson is such a big fan of Batman. I really feel he gets it. Thick says, with a fresh haircut and some drunk on delicious tea, Grace is powerful. That's right, baby. That's right. I'm in a good mood today. Jad says, Grace, can you please explain what a show Bible is? My pleasure. I'll do a quick thing because we're already at 36 minutes. But a show Bible is the rules of the show, basically. It's like, think of like someone who's a Dungeons and Dragons master who makes like their plan for the whole siege. The Bible outlines the story for the first season, all the characters, the character traits, what the character arcs are. Basically, it's so that anyone working on the show in any capacity can go to the Bible and make sure that they're literally on the same page. A show Bible is crucial, and the fact that they don't have show Bibles is stupid. They're like, we've been making TV like this ever since we started making TV. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. That's right, Fran. Everybody needs a Logan Roy to tell you to F off. I have to tell, I will say a side thing. That's so interesting that you said that. A lot of executives in Hollywood today are very afraid of someone tweeting about a bad meeting with them, which is good to some degree because people were abusive, and I think things were bad that were said, and I think that talent was being disrespected, and apparently, especially talent of groups that are, need to be represented more, for sure. But Hollywood executive also needs to be able to be demanding. They can't do it in a way that robs people of their dignity. But the fact that an executive can't lose their temper anymore without being considered mean is ridiculous. Like a TV executive needs to be, any executive at any company needs to be like, this is bullshit and we got to fix it. I mean, I think that's really important, Like an executive is supposed to be a commander, someone in charge, leading the battle charge. They're not a teacher. But I think sometimes this even affects teachers. They're not like a kindergarten teacher being like, does everybody feel heard? But even some people argue with that. So, it's a pendulum effect. They were too mean before, now they're too nice. Maybe we'll get to a point where they're in the middle and they can be effective again. I love Logan Roy. I think Logan Roy sometimes got a bad rap. Like when people call Logan, what really surprises me? When people say that Don Draper was a villain. I'm always like, what's villainous about Don Draper? I mean, he cheated on his wife, but it was the 1960s, right? So almost that's his personal life. I think professionally, I didn't think he was a villain at all. I didn't understand at all why anybody would say that. Thanks, Shell. That's a nice thing to say. Paul Brunel says, will aggressive decisions be made elsewhere? Well, when everybody starts to worry that they're not making money and they're all going to lose their jobs, then, sometimes people do get more aggressive. Ricky71 says, $20. Thank you. You should be running a major studio. That's very kind of you, Rick. That's a very nice thing for you to say. And then Travis says, how does all this impact Echo and Agatha? I think that Agatha is going to be niche, and I suspect that I'm worried about Agatha. I'm certainly excited to cover it. I think a lot of you will be excited about the show, but I think it's going to have problems. I think Echo will not connect at all. I don't even think people expect Echo to be good at this point, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of like it's just a waste of everyone's time. Sophia says, well, the success of Suits, should Daredevil partly copy them? No, because Suits is something different. I don't think anybody cares. I'll be honest with you. I don't think anyone cares about Matt Murdock's legal career. I really don't think they care. No one's like, oh, but what did Matt Murdock do in court today? I think that only is of interest to people if it helps out, that makes the superhero part of his show a little bit more, add a little bit more depth. Buck's Basement says it's common sense dead in Hollywood. And you know what? No. You know what? The best, I'll read you a comment from Arnold Schwarzenegger today, which I loved. I was like, I still have a problem with what Arnold Schwarzenegger did to his wife. And I always will. But I got to tell you, he's a smart man. Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger said this. He said, remember this. The crazies on the far right and the left are the minority in the real world. They dominate social media because it is antisocial and rewards behavior that would leave you with no friends in reality. He's a little harsh, which is maybe why I like what he's saying. But he says, but they're hard to find if you lift your eyes up from your phone. And I do believe that Elon Musk is trying to drive Twitter into the ground by highlighting that. And now, of course, everybody's voice is important, and I do like Twitter myself. But I feel like I've always found myself in the middle. I always try to be in the middle. And I think that's where most people are, in every regard. So I think that's important. So I thought that was a good quote today. I like that. All right, I better move on. I'm in a very good mood. To some degree, maybe too good a mood. All right. Junior Jangles, I don't like Chris Claremont, I'm afraid. I actually really dislike his X-Men story. So while I can understand you suggesting that, I personally would throw his number in the trash while nobody was looking. I'd be like, oh, we don't have it. What a shame. I wouldn't even say that I'm passive aggressive that way. I wouldn't even say I don't want to call Chris Claremont. I'd be like, oh no, I just don't know how to reach him. Crazy. And then if someone said, oh, I do, I'd just pretend I didn't hear them. That's how I like to handle things. I'd be like, oh, I don't hear anything. Let's just keep going. All right. And then I'd be like, oh no, I already hired someone else. If only I'd heard you earlier. What a bummer. All right. That's how I like to handle things. All right. Let's move on to the next story. That's not mean, George. It's effective. All right. Story number 2. I like this story. Some of you were like, drop the Seinfeld story. I'm like, no, it's too good because I have too much stuff that I want to say about it. All right, boop. Boopity boop boop. I am having a great time. I love streaming with you guys. And thanks so many people for joining in. Even if you aren't a member and you can't be in the chat, I'm so glad that you still want to be part of the live stream and you enjoy these. That makes me very happy. I know you're there. I see you. Okay. All right, or however the Avatar people say it. I forget how they say I see you. And I hate kumbaya stuff like that, but sometimes it makes sense. I'm a real anti-kumbaya type of person. But sometimes the connection's that deep. All right, let's talk Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. I rewatched it during the pandemic, and I was like, Seinfeld is genius. I not only think it's funny, but I really appreciated the quality of it and the comedic artistry. I was like, wow, these are talented people. So the reason this was in the news, and this came up yesterday, Jerry Seinfeld was doing a stand-up show. And he basically he mentioned this before, apparently in 2018, back when Ellen DeGeneres was still popular. He was on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and he said, yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Seinfeld would come back someday. But I watched the clip when I was doing my notes for this. I didn't get to see the clip yesterday, but I watched the notes, and I felt that Seinfeld teased this so heavily. And he said, what you're thinking, Larry and I have been thinking. I think they're very close to a deal. If Jerry Seinfeld said this, I think he either has a deal already signed and he's going to announce it very soon, or he's close to signing the deal and he wants to push the price up. That's my guess. Because Jerry Seinfeld, I'll never forget, the very first time I used StubHub, I got Seinfeld tickets for my family in Vegas. And I didn't know if StubHub was legit at that time. So I made my family fly to Las Vegas to see Seinfeld in person at Caesars Casino. And I was really worried that we were going to get turned away at the casino. I was like, my family's going to kill me that I made them pay to fly to Vegas and the tickets aren't legit. But it worked. And I was like, StubHub's a wonderful site. So we had these great seats up front. I'm such a big Seinfeld fan. I've also seen him at the Beacon Theater since. He's a great show. If you can ever see Seinfeld live, I highly recommend it. Don't see him too close together. Oh, thank you for gifting a membership, Sharon, because he reuses his material. So never see a comedian too close together because they'll often reuse their material. But anyway, I'll never forget it. Seinfeld, he has a shtick, and someone in the audience said, "Oh, I love you, Jerry." And he dropped his facade and he said, "I love you too, baby," or something like that. And I was like, whoa, Seinfeld's a player. Like, I was really surprised. I was like, whoa, he is not totally like he is on the show. He is a high roller. I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. It's like you think someone's all cute, and like non-threatening, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, they're threatening. That's kind of how I took it. But like in a good way, like not in a bad way. But like the fact that you were like, oh my gosh, like Seinfeld, like he's like very on. Like it was surprising to me. I'll never forget it. And it made me think of him differently. Also, years later, I was walking on Madison Avenue and I saw him go past me and he had a look on his face which was similar. Like he wasn't like walking down the street like a happy sitcom Seinfeld. He was walking down the street like an executive. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I was like, I knew it. I knew that's what he was like. All right. So I'm telling you, I think he's trying to drive up the price. Because here's the thing. Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David in particular have an obscene amount of money off of Seinfeld. And they still have this amount of money to this day because it consistently keeps coming in because it's so popular. So the only reason they would go back to this is if they could make an even more obscene amount of money. And I got to tell you, I think they would. I would pay so much money for a Jerry Seinfeld, if I were a studio executive, a Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld backed Seinfeld reboot. I mean, the bidding war would be insane. I think there would be no ceiling on paying for that. Okay, that's a good idea, Leon. We'll do a poll. And by the way, anyone can vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member. So we'll do, would you watch a new Seinfeld? I don't drink, so I can't get drunk. I get drunk on talking to people and fun, excitement stuff. Heck yeah. Need to see a trailer. And then no. Or no way. So anyone can vote in that poll. Anybody can vote in it. Okay? I don't even drink coffee. Who asked me that? Alexander, I don't even drink coffee. All right. So anyway, so he teased it and he said, I can tell you something's coming very soon. And that to me is fascinating. I was like, oh, when? I need this in my life. Now this is a trend. Will and Grace came back. Frasier's coming back on Thursday. The reviews are not awful, which we would expect. And then also The Office is about to get rebooted, where they're going to make a ton of money. Ricky Gervais and Greg Daniels are going to make so much money. Although, if before I paid for an Office reboot, I would upload season 3 and be like, oh, this is awful. Maybe Greg Daniels doesn't always know what he's doing. But I still like the idea of an Office reboot. Oh yeah, Putty, Mr. Poppy. All these people can come back. So anyway, here's the thing. This is why I think, some of you I'm very curious because look how bad, like no way, 43% no way. But it's not as bad as the reaction to the Office reboot. So here's the thing. To me, the ending of Seinfeld was so horrendous and awful that everybody hates it so much that I don't think anybody would feel bad if it was redone. Like Seinfeld is not a situation where people are like, oh, don't touch it, it's perfect. I think everyone's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind a do-over. That's kind of how I feel about Seinfeld on that front, right? Like the ending was so bad, although Dory liked it. I thought the ending was awful, and it didn't fit with the show. They felt that it did. I was like, I don't know what show you were watching, but this is not how I felt. That's funny, Danny, that you say it's like Game of Thrones. It is kind of like the final season of Game of Thrones. It was that bad. And people are just like, it was so awful. Now, here's the other thing. Larry David is writing Curb Your Enthusiasm today, and I think the quality is still there. So I think Kramer can come back, Natalie. I know that he had those problems, but I think that Kramer's such a crazy character, and I think if he does an apology tour, I think Kramer could come back, only in this regard. Oh, and by the way, they'd have to add a character of color. It can't just be 4 white people again. That's interesting. I wonder who it would be. Wow. What a role that would be up for grabs for a comedian of color. That would be incredible. That would really make someone's career. I would hope they would find someone. I would hope they wouldn't go for stunt casting. Unless there was like just a bunch of guest stars. They could do like a Curb Your Enthusiasm thing. I was thinking Chris Rock too, Tyler Rod. Like Chris Rock could kind of be in there. Maybe. I don't know. Michael Che is a good choice, actually. But Michael Che has some controversy about him. I don't know. I think that would be just huge. But it can't just be 4 white people again, because that's not, hey, Val. Oh, Val. Oh, Val, you always have a special place in my heart. Your brother. What a wonderful soul. But anyway, yeah. So, they just can't. It has to reflect New York. It didn't even reflect New York the way. I think it reflected the Upper West Side. But it has to, the building that Jerry lived in would not have been all white. I love Chris Redd, Aaron. Chris Redd, I love him. I would so vote for Chris Redd because I never think he got his due from SNL. I felt bad for him. Also, I can never pronounce her name, but the actress who is on SNL right now, the female actress, a comedian of color, who's been on fire the last 2 seasons, that's who I'd pick. 1,000%, because they could use another woman. That's who it would be. Ego. Yes, Ego. That's who it should be. Because she's so funny. Like the Black Lotus sketch, she was so funny. She's really funny. That's who I'd pick. I like her a lot. That's 1,000% who I'd go with. And also, so many people, Julie Louis-Dreyfus came from SNL. I think that's who I would go with. I think that's great. I like Issa Rae from Barbie. AI, artificial intelligence recommended the woman from Barbie. I have to say that's hilarious. No offense if that's your genuine suggestion, but I do feel that AI would pick Issa Rae. Like Issa Rae when Insecure was just blowing up would have been a good choice, but now I don't think so. Ego. That's who it is. I feel I'm done. It's Ego. I feel bad if it's not her, because she should be the person. All right, so anyway, I feel like Curb Your Enthusiasm is just so good, and it's so well written, and I feel also if you watch old episodes of Seinfeld, you would be amazed how much society in New York City has changed since then. So I think there's a ton of material. Just like I said, the office space has changed so much since The Office aired. I feel that New York and what society is like imagine what Seinfeld could do with social media. Like George would so get canceled. And George would have such a problem with what if there could be a whole episode where they're all talking about their tweets or their exes or whatever they're called now. Right? Oh my God, it would be so good. That's what I just think it's perfect. And it could still be a show about nothing, but a nothing today. And I'm telling you, Danny, Just Like That is a good comparison, but I don't think Just Like That is as funny. It doesn't really work. It would be so good. Oh, let's see the poll. You're right. Okay. Only 44% say no. Oh, I like it. I like this. I feel like also I could bring everybody back over. Oh, you know who else would be good? Keegan-Michael Key. He'd be great on Seinfeld. And Jordan Peele. I'd love them both to be on it because they're so funny. Key and Peele. I would also want them on Seinfeld. And I don't care that they're so big. They have the right type of comedy. They fit in perfectly with the Seinfeld kind of tone. Jordan Peele has better things to do, Kay Walton, than be on Seinfeld? I don't think so. He could do one episode. They could be on one episode. Key and Peele living in the building. Oh, Ayo Edebiri is funny too. Treble. She's great. She'd be really good. Writer boy, you wouldn't watch the Black Lotus sketch on SNL? If you haven't seen the Black Lotus sketch on SNL, do yourself a favor and go watch that. I have to say, the sketches about black culture on SNL, like Black Jeopardy, always hit hard. They're so funny. And they're actually some of the most popular sketches on their channel. They're extremely funny. Keenan, he doesn't get enough credit. Okay. Yeah, I am just pitching the new show. You're right. Let's move on to the next story. Oh, yeah, the black voting sketch was so funny, Kay Walton. Remember they were talking about healthcare And Maya Rudolph was like, I'll go get a jacket. I'll get a coat. I don't care. Because they were supporting Obama no matter what. That was very funny. I love that sketch. And they were the only ones who could do jokes like that. And it was very funny. All right, let's talk about the third story of the day. And then you can ask me anything that you want. Oh, yeah. All right. Third story of the day. Boom, baby. Disney and video games. Every once in a while, someone says, why doesn't Disney make video games? And then someone says, what about Kingdom Hearts? And everyone goes, eh. And then the conversation fades away. But it's in the news again. Some publication that I never heard of published a story where they were like, hey, maybe Bob, they said some executives or Wall Street's telling Bob Iger to buy Electronic Arts. So I thought we'd talk about it because I do think it's weird that Disney doesn't have a video game division. Although Warner Brothers is always threatening to sell theirs and no other studio has a gaming division. But since Disney likes to have like so many verticals, why don't they have a video game vertical? I mean, it is weird that like, you know, Marvel is so prevalent, or at least it was for a while, yet DC consistently beats them in terms of video games and animation. Right? We've always wondered about that. We're like, how could you be so far behind on this, Marvel? Right? So this is the latest thing. So they're like, hey, Bob Iger, sell your TV, sell ABC and buy Electronic Arts, which I think is funny. Right? They're like, get out of one business and get into another. And you're like, okay, right? But I will say that I think there are a couple of issues about this, right? I mean, on the one hand, video games couldn't be hotter than they are right now. Everybody loves video games. They're huge. They're making them into TV shows. But here's the question. Is Disney a company that never wants to get in trouble and is having a really hard time with original content these days? Are they going to make original games? I don't think so. I think if Disney were to get into gaming, they would buy Electronic Arts, which makes their very popular Cal Kestis Jedi video game, and they would say just make video games about our IP. Make Marvel games, make Star Wars games, make Mickey Mouse games, make Pixar games. Like, that's what they would do. Make a Haunted Mansion video game. And they'd be like, we just watched your movie. Are you sure you want to triple down on this? Right? And that's the thing. Video games take so long to make. How do you pivot? Right? Like, nobody at Disney can watch this stuff and go, this is a bad idea. Nobody watched Haunted Mansion and said, don't make it. Nobody watched Strange World and was like, don't do this. So if they had to make video games so far in advance, they'd be like, well, what are we going to do with this video game now? We made a video game based on this crap thing. And that's even more expensive than we threw at it. Like, can Disney take that kind of a risk? Also, it seems like every video game that comes out almost is delayed these days. I mean, if The Last of Us, if Naughty Dog had to cancel the multiplayer Last of Us game, I think no one's safe. How do you come off of an HBO hit adaptation and your company is firing people and can't get the multiplayer out? Like, you would think that would print money. Like, I don't understand how the people who run Naughty Dog aren't like, you're not going to make the multiplayer? You have a hit HBO show. How do we not get in on this and capitalize on it? I mean, it's just beyond stupid. You know, the video game industry, they better be careful what they wish for, because right now nobody pays any attention to them. Everyone's like, oh, is anything going on over there? People seem to be talking about this video game a lot. You know, it's like, remember the comic book industry? When no one talked about the comic book industry and it was great? Now everybody ran over there and now it's ruined the comic book business. Comic book business is ruined. You don't want everybody paying attention to you. You know, everyone's going to unionize. Everyone's going to agent up. I mean, it's like really tough. It's really tough. SAG was already like, we're going to go on strike. We're like, oh yeah, we should go on video game strike. And video games are like, what the F? Are you kidding me? It's like sometimes being in a pocket dimension, just making tons of money is really great. There ain't nothing wrong with that, making money in secret. You know what's great? When someone goes, oh my God, I had no idea you had so much money. Not, oh my God, really? Let's discuss. So, hilarious. Very, very funny. You know, Danny, it's funny you say Arkham games are so good. Where is that company now? If I went back in time when the Arkham games were doing their best and I told you, oh, they're going to make a Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game that never comes out and everyone says is awful, you'd be like, you're nuts. You say you're drunk, Grace. That's impossible. The Arkham team will never fail. And I'd be like, I'm from the future. They did. Right? All right. Let's not get me in any trouble. When I get in a really good mood, I get in trouble. All right, Q&A time. Let's see if you can keep me out of trouble. Q&A, 7:26. We can talk for 10 minutes. That is Rocksteady. That's right, Dory does voices. Oh, Survivor's on tonight. Oh, yeah, that's right. But I'm not waiting an hour and a half to watch Amazing Race. I'll have to watch Amazing Race tomorrow. I'm trying to get the good sleep schedule and be responsible. Although tomorrow, again, it doesn't matter because I'm going to go watch Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm really excited to watch it. Oh, it's going to be so good. I hope it's the kind of movie I can watch twice because I already promised to take my dad. I can't take any guests to the press screening or I would have tried to get him in. They were like, just one. All right, Tito says, Grace, do you think AI could kill the... Oh, you asked me this question on Twitter. Do you think AI could kill the dubbing industry by generating the same original voices in all possible languages? That's horrible. Well, that's why SAG is on strike right now. They're going to make that illegal. That's right, Junior 6288. I am from the future. Come with me if you want to live. I'll put that on a t-shirt. I'm from the future of Hollywood. Come with me if you want to live, or listen to me if you want your career to live. Let's see here. Sean, I'm not sure how popular Gen V is. I suspect it's a flop, but I can't know for sure until I see the Nielsen ratings. Isaac says, do you think Loki viewership will increase as episodes go on? I don't know. I'm scared. I thought everybody would love the first episode, and they didn't. Which made me scared. Oh, Lucas has an update. You're working the Tron ride? Oh, I love the Tron ride. I went on that. It was so fun. I hope you get to do the load. The loading zone is so cool, and you're going to get a cool outfit. You get to listen to the Tron music all day. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Have a good time. That's a great... You really lucked out, Lucas. I don't watch Big Brother, Chris. Some reality TV is just, I was going to say it's too trashy for me, but, considering how trashy Real Housewives of Beverly Hills has become, I don't think I can say that anymore. I told you, I'm embarrassed now that I watch that show, but not so embarrassed that I'll stop. Blair says, any Bear season 3 news? No, isn't that surprising? I think the actors are all off doing other stuff. Also, I guess they can't sign the deals because they're on strike. Maybe that's the issue, in fact. Ricardo says, Grace, Doctor Strange 2 is my favorite MCU movie because of Wanda. What was the disagreement with the first draft and why were the testing so bad? I can't tell you. I'm going to get in trouble. Don't get me in trouble, Ricardo. I can't tell you. Fran, I did see the Iron Claw trailer and I was like, damn, does Zac Efron look like, boy, does he look like He-Man. He looks so much like the Masters of the Universe. I thought they showed the entire trailer in the movie, quite frankly, and I don't know if anyone's going to see that. That looks to me like dumb money. Both those movies, everybody's like, I'm definitely going to watch that on digital. I don't think anyone's going to watch those movies in theaters. That's right, Lander. I'm spicy today. That's a spicy Grace. Aaron, I can't tell my thoughts on the Crown trailer because I already watched the first 4 episodes, the first season, the first part of the final season. They gave me the 4 episodes on Monday, and I watched them all by Tuesday afternoon, all 4 of them. And I can't talk about them until I don't know why the review embargo doesn't lift till the day of release. That seems to me very odd. They're like, don't talk about this amazing show. Just keep it to yourself. I'm like, okay. Let's see here. Martin says, Disney does have a video game company. Do they? I think they dismantled LucasArts, whatever that was. Spooky says, what show do you wish could get a revival? I'll tell you. Seinfeld. Oh, Megan, why did you retract your message? But thanks for your first super chat ever. Casey says, beat seat at IMAX debate. Best seat at IMAX debate. Center, side, or back. And like the Lincoln Square IMAX, the back middle. For sure. Although it's kind of cool to be like in the center, 3/4 back, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm in the movie. But I don't like how close the seats are to each other with COVID. That always freaks me out a little bit with IMAX. Thomas, I'm definitely going to review Argyle. That's right, Mish. My new hair vibes might be making me feel better. Also, my allergies are bothering me a little bit today, so I'm trying to power through them with energy. And maybe I'm a little bit too energetic, but I'm going to get myself in trouble. Alwatch says, thoughts on the Amazon Batman Christmas special. I hate the animation too, Alwatch. I think it looks like garbage, but I will 1,000% watch it. Let's see here. It's got Damien in it too, so I mean, I have to see it. Dane, I'm not at all sad there isn't going to be a season 4 of The Great. I couldn't finish season 3. I thought it was awful. I only watched the first episode. JB says, hi Grace, is there any more tea on Zootopia? I wish that I could share it. I don't know too much more than what I tweeted, but I'm trying to find out how much Nick Wilde is in the movie, but I haven't found out yet. Believe me, I want the tea as much as you do. Hey, Robert White. Aiden says, hi Grace, love your content. I was wondering what episode from Gen V was your favorite. The final one I saw, 6, because of the ending. I was like, that's brilliant. I can't wait to see the final 2 episodes. I was like, everyone should watch Gen V. And then, of course, nobody did. Let's see here. Michael says, my Five Guys is here. You ordered Five Guys. We made you order Five Guys. Enjoy your dinner. I hope you got to see me say enjoy your dinner, Michael. Hey, Megan, you joined and then you retracted your thing. I haven't watched any Castlevania Nocturne, Jason. I've been busy. I've been too busy. I got the Crown screeners. I was like, must watch now. Must watch. Podge Jerka says, do you seem like you are due a big vacation? I just went on vacation. As I told you guys, I snuck down to Disney World in the end of August for a week. And it was one of the greatest times as usual of my life. I love it down there. Devin, Disney, why they haven't lifted ideas from successful games? Well, they can't lift too closely, Devin, or they will get sued. Let's see here. Haunted Autumn. Good luck with House of Usher tomorrow. Good luck. I think it's garbage, but some people seem to like it. I think it's just awful. Denzel says, Grace, you mentioned Sleeping Beauty. What are some of your other favorite Disney movies? I love Pollyanna. I just love Pollyanna. I can't watch Cinderella anymore because she went nuts, so I can't watch it. I feel bad for her. I'm like, she's lost her mind. Back out of this attic room. I like Zootopia. I like Princess and the Frog. I like Oliver and Company. I really love Disney. I'm a huge Disney fan. I just love Disney. Peter Pan, although I can't watch Peter Pan anymore, really. Once they get to Neverland, it's so politically incorrect that it's hard for me. But I still love the idea of Disney's Peter Pan. Let's put it that way. Hey, Cosmics. Oh, I hope class went well for you. Leroy says, who could do a show division split with Feige so he could get back to movies? That's not a bad idea to create an entirely new division. But, also Feige, that's a good thing. Feige would become a kingmaker. What if Feige created somebody who was so good at making TV, people were like, maybe they're the new Marvel god. And then Feige would be like, oopsie. Who wants to, just like Logan Roy didn't want to create his own successor. I'm sure Feige doesn't want to create someone who everybody goes, oh, I think it's time for them to take over. I mean, I don't blame Feige for not wanting to do that. Oh, who just said that? Hold on, it fast forwarded. Oh, 1985, thanks for gifting a membership. Dobby says, thoughts on a Thin Man reboot? Well, I really like what Margot Robbie's doing these days, but if it's Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, I'm going to barf. They can't make every movie together from now on, which they seem to want to do, which I think is stupid. I love the Thin Man. If you've never seen a Thin Man movie, they're great. And I think like a TikTok kind of couple that solves mysteries for fun could actually be pretty good. And I think Margot Robbie might have a good take on it. So I like the idea, but I wouldn't put her in it. Or I would put her in it and I would have her back away from other things she's thinking of doing. Margot Robbie can't be everywhere. She doesn't want to Dwayne Johnson herself. She's going to get sick. People are going to get sick of her. That's right, Chris. McDonald's for Thursday. Casey Smith, I did watch the Adam Eve special. I thought it was incredible. I thought the action sequence was amazing. I felt bad they didn't animate any of the backgrounds, but I guess they couldn't afford it. Anthony Del Rey says, thoughts on Noah Schnapp's bold opinions on the war. I don't want to talk about that. I think that's very personal. I think, I said today that I thought that Gigi Hadid made some good even-handed comments while still, really much calling out the evilness that's also present right now, horribly. So that's all I want to say. I think Noah Schnapp said what he felt he needed to say. I think you really have to think about where every single person who's speaking is coming from and if they have some skin in the game, if they personally relate to that in some way. And I think that's very important. And I think you need to factor that into your reaction to their comments. I think we all need to be more understanding, and I think we all need to understand context more. And social media is horrible for context, to be fair. But I think people really need to think more about context. Sebastian says, with the changes Marvel is making, how long until we see the results of these changes? I don't know. They haven't made any of the changes yet. Right now, they just said, we're going to make them. Like, let me see. They actually haven't done it. They just said, oh, yeah, we're going to do it. So I'm like, okay, let's see you do it. Danny, I'm excited about Avatar 3. I'm excited to meet the fire people. What are fire people? What do they look like? Are they not blue? Do they have fire? I'm excited. Apparently they're jerks, which I think is interesting. He's like, not everyone on Pandora is nice, just like not everyone on Earth is nice. I'm like, they didn't send any nice people to Pandora. They only seem to have sent the jerks. Buck's Basement says, this show isn't having any of these issues and drama. One Piece. Oh, that's right, they aren't. But you never know what's going to happen with the season 2. They enjoyed being off the radar. You never know. Success certainly complicates things. Fatine says, are you dressing up for Halloween? Not any plans at the moment, I'm afraid. It's on a Tuesday. What's that? Raphael says, is it true that Robert Downey Jr. is squeaky about Iron Man 4? What does that mean? I am 1,000% sure that Iron Man will return someday. And he'll return as artificial intelligence. Probably in Armor Wars, if it is indeed a movie that they're still making. Oh, Anthony, that's very nice. Even $1. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Shadow, I haven't heard anything about a WandaVision musical episode. I haven't heard anything about it. Not to say that's not true, but I haven't heard anything about it. Danny says, Grace, do you miss your pre-mold wigs? I do. I loved my wig collection. It was wonderful. I had a great black wig, which I really liked. I wore it with like a black fedora, which had a fur lining in it. Made me very happy. Which was actually a look based off of an old Columbo episode about a sex therapist. I don't know if any of you ever saw that, but I remember my parents let me watch Columbo when I was little. I think it was like a repeat that was on television. And I was like, that's a nice look. And it stuck with me ever since. Let's see here. I lost it. I lost the hat. I lost the wig. All the Columbo episodes are on Peacock, by the way, and they're fantastic. Kish and Chip says, I love Lucy as I remember you do. Do you think that we have a real life couple today who could do something similar to Lucy and Desi? Well, I don't know, Kish and Chips. Even they couldn't keep it up. Some of the later of their shows are not good. But I do love I Love Lucy. Even though it's still sometimes not politically correct when you watch it today, I don't care. It's brilliant. All right, I better get going. It's 7:40 already. I gotta go. I got to go. Let me do some shout outs. And I think I'm way over my time because I just like talking to you guys. Okay, what's going on? What are you up to? Where are you? Let me say hi to you. Hey, Terry. Thanks, Terry. I don't know when I'm going to wear my new glasses, Danny. I can't tell you for sure. I'm afraid I don't know. Dale, who won't let you do what? Oh, I didn't see Robert Downey Jr.'s posts on Instagram. He's definitely coming back. I don't know when, I don't know how, but he's coming back. I told you, I kind of feel you. I know when he's coming back. J-Lo, I don't know if I'm going to get back into moonlighting. It's a great show, but I don't know. I don't know. There's too much new stuff that I want to watch. Tedder Tot says making friendship bracelets before the Taylor Swift movie on Friday. That's awesome. I'm very excited for Movie Math on Sunday. We are going to have a conversation. Oh, E.B. the Blue, it was my pleasure to keep you company. Hey, Daniel Lopez in Guatemala. I'm glad your shift's almost over. Sean says going to bed for college. Got a remix exam. I don't even know what a remix exam is, but break a leg. Hey, Daniel C. in Los Angeles. Oh, Adam. Always so nice to see you, and thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That's very generous of you. Ismarie says, wishing I had a different job. I had a sucky day. Can't wait to see your glasses. Aw, now I want to wear them just for you, Ismarie. Don't worry about it. You know, I'm glad you recognize that about your job. Don't rush to quit. Now that you've acknowledged it, take the time to realistically think about what you'd like to do and how you can go about that. But I think recognizing that and admitting it to yourself is like such a huge step. Mish says, Grace, it's my birthday. Big milestone birthday. Happy birthday, Mish. Were you saying it was your 30th yesterday, right? Happy birthday. Ricardo Sanchez says, going to see 42nd Street on Saturday in Newcastle. Love from Brian and Ricardo. Hey, guys, have a good time. Oh, Lander, I'm so glad you enjoyed the stream. Lucy R. is getting ready to go to sleep in Liverpool, UK. Love the UK. Caroline Lee in Brazil says, holiday weekend here. Looking forward to just doing nothing. That's great. Good for you. That can be the best. Danny says, standing main pop diva Grace Randolph in Chicago. Thanks, Danny. Your Huckleberry says, about to head to work at the busiest theater in Oregon. Oh, that sounds like fun. That sounds awesome. Hey, Val says, trying to organize the Melbourne Gayborhood screening of Taylor's concert movie tomorrow. Oh, Val, I love that you're organizing that. I loved your photo for going to see Barbie with your Gayborhood. Was that the Gayborhood? I'm sure you're going to have a great time. Oh, yes, Mish, it is your 30th. That's awesome. Gabe Ortiz, you're a member. I love it. Let's see here. Gerard says, over my bedtime in London, but it was so worth it. Grace, you were on fire today. Thanks. I'm so glad you feel that way. I'm really glad. I'm so glad you enjoyed today's stream. Baba Shen says, about to head to the gym in Edmonton, Canada. I love Edmonton, Canada. I've been to your mall. It's incredible. Bear Goddard I says, first gym session on Saturday since spinal surgery 8 weeks ago. Oh, wow. Good for you. That's exciting. Don't push yourself too hard. Just getting there is important. Just that you're back at the gym is the victory. Oh, Ryan Sanchez, it was my pleasure to serve the tea. Oh, Celine also got her hair did today. And she's also in a great mood. Nothing like a trip to the salon, I gotta say. I agree. Pamper yourself a little. And Maidu says, Grace for Scream 7 cameo. Oh, what? I hope somebody who makes it or goes out in spectacular fashion. All right, on that note, I better get going because it's pretty late. I will see you tomorrow in some capacity. It'll either be a live stream or it'll be the Loki breakdown or both. Okay? And then, of course, Friday I will review Killers of the Flower Moon and or stream. But there's one more stream this week. It will happen. All right, everybody, bye. Bye-bye. I had such a great time with you. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye-bye.